The second form of suggestion is called autosuggestion. Autosuggestion is when you put both hands on the controls of your own mental life, or approach the keyboard of your own mental computer and consciously program your subconscious mind with thoughts and feelings you desire. Autosuggestion is key to building the kind of deep belief system within you that will lead to unshakable self-confidence. And the reason autosuggestion works is also due to the law of substitution. The law of substitution says that your conscious mind can only hold one thought at a time, positive or negative. You need to take total control over your own thinking and suggestive environment, ensuring that what you allow into your mind aligns with your desires and the person you want to become. And you must work to keep all other influences at bay. There are 3 forms of suggestion that can determine how you feel about yourself and how you think. The first is called external suggestion. These are all the things that happen around you from the moment you wake up in the morning until your last communication or information intake at night. If you consciously choose to keep a positive word or image in your mind, you simultaneously block multiple inputs from external sources that could cause your thinking and feeling to be negative or inconsistent with your desires. For example, if every time you start feeling tense, uncomfortable, or angry about something, you change your mind and start thinking about your main goals, your mind will switch from negative to positive instantly, and you will feel good about yourself again. The idea of a positive, future-oriented goal is inherently uplifting. Depending on how open and receptive you are, you may be overly influenced by television, radio, newspaper conversations, work experiences, feedback from superiors, interactions with family members, even traffic issues or changes in weather outside. Most people allow much of their lives to be determined by what happens around them, convincing themselves that they think independently when they are simply reacting to events. This explains why negative emotions that bother and disturb you are often unconscious and reflexive reactions triggered by external events. Experts say that 95% or more of what one says, thinks, and feels is determined by environmental and psychological suggestive influences surrounding them. For example, the average person is so susceptible to suggestive influences that a rude word from another person can cause distress and anger for hours. On the other hand, a kind word of praise and recognition can make them feel positive and happy for the rest of the day, to enjoy high levels of self-confidence. You must be able to make your own decisions and free yourself from any influence that makes you feel negative or unhappy for any reason. Today is the day when we go off on an adventure to explore the transforming power of your mind, which is the profound influence it has in shaping the reality that you experience. Imagine for a second the enormous power that resides within your thoughts, the ability to shape your surroundings, and the opportunity to build a future that is reflective of your most profound goals. Your thoughts are not only a bystander to the events that occur in your life, rather they are the architects of your fate. You have the ability to triumph over obstacles, seize opportunities, and fashion a life that is rich in purpose and fulfillment if you are able to harness the power of your thoughts, beliefs, and attitudes. What we are going to do today is investigate the fundamental principles that underlie this astonishing phenomena. There is nothing mystical or arcane about these ideas. Rather, they are founded on the fields of psychology and neuroscience, as well as the experiences of numerous people who have had the courage to harness the power of their brains in order to do great things. She apologized to the businessman and said, "I'm so sorry to have caught him. I hope he hasn't been bothering you. He always escapes from the nursing home and goes around telling people he's John D. Rockefeller." She took the elderly man by the arm and led him away. The businessman stood there stunned. For the entire year, he had been negotiating, buying, and selling, building his business with the peace of mind and confidence of knowing he had a $500,000 check in his safe that he could cash anytime. Cash. One way to take control of your mind is to think about the various external factors that cause you to become angry or upset automatically. Make a list of everything that happens where you tend to respond negatively. Then consciously decide that in the future, when one of these problems arises, you will respond calmly and positively, and you will not allow yourself to become angry or upset. Smile, take a deep breath, and stay calm. The more you practice this, the easier it will become. Your personality will become stronger and more resilient. Your self-confidence will increase, and you will feel more in charge of your own life. We know this is true because no one would consciously and deliberately decide to feel negative, angry, or upset. When people control their emotions, they choose to feel happy. For example, one of the most common expressions of negative emotions involves conditioned responses. These are automatic responses we adopt when someone presses one of our hot buttons. A hot button is a habitual, negative way of reacting to an experience or something someone says. If you hate being cut off in traffic and someone cuts you off inadvertently, your quick access button will be activated and you will speak angrily to yourself and to anyone who will listen in the foreseeable future. We're really talking here about what we call a mental attitude or resilient personality. And mental attitude is subject to the law of cause and effect. You can develop the kind of unshakable self-confidence you desire simply by repeating certain thoughts and actions over and over until they penetrate deeply into your subconscious mind and gain their own power. Perhaps the most pervasive influence in determining your mental and emotional state at any given time is the power of suggestion. The power of suggestion begins to act upon you even before birth and continues from childhood throughout your life, shaping you into the kind of person you are today. He didn't know whether to keep fighting or just declare bankruptcy and let his business fail. So he decided to take a walk through the park that night, think it over, and decide what to do. He stood in the park on a small bridge, looking out over the water, when an older man emerged from the darkness. Seeing his downcast look, the older man stopped and demanded to know what was wrong. For some reason, the businessman told him all his financial troubles and how close his business was to collapse. Don't discipline yourself to eliminate negative individuals from your life because you are excessively influenced by others. The people you work with, socialize with, and spend time with should all strive to ensure you are surrounded by the type of people you want to become. Think of the men and women, alive or dead, whose qualities you respect and whose lives you would like to emulate. Read magazine articles and interviews about people who are going somewhere in their lives. Start associating with winners, mentally identifying with them. See the potential customer or client responding positively to you and signing the contract or check at the end of their visit. If you have an interview coming up, take a few moments to rehearse the interview in your mind. Go through each stage. See yourself performing at your best. And visualize the other person responding positively and productively to you. Every improvement in your life begins with improving your mental images. If you want to wear nice clothes, you should buy and read magazines full of photographs of models wearing the type of clothes you want. Your mind can be nurtured with empowering thoughts and behaviors on a consistent basis, which can pave the path for amazing accomplishments and long-term fulfillment. I'm grateful to you for your dedication to one's own personal development and greatness. Let us continue to harness the power of our imaginations in order to create realities that not only motivate us, but also have a beneficial impact on people who are in our immediate vicinity. Let us set an example for others to follow by displaying the significant impact that our mentality has on the way we live our lives and the goals that we pursue. Just as you become what you eat, you become what you think. Everything you allow into your mind, whether positive or negative, consciously increases or diminishes your self-esteem and self-confidence. One of the most powerful influences on your suggestive life, perhaps the influence that decides your success or failure more than any other controllable factor, is the type of people you regularly associate with. Therefore, the fifth mental conditioning technique to maintain confidence and optimism is to distance yourself from negative people and surround yourself with positive ones. Practice the law of concentration, allowing your mind to focus on the things you desire and especially on the sensations. The key to activating your mental powers through affirmation and visualization is also to imagine exactly how you would feel if you had already achieved your goal. Imagine the feelings of pride, happiness, and self-esteem you would enjoy as a result of achieving your goals. This emotional component is the catalyst that makes the other mental programming techniques work more quickly. Before meeting a sales call or an interview, take a moment to feel that end-of-the-movie sensation. Then just relax. No matter what happens in the meantime, you don't have to worry at all. You already know the situation resolves itself and will be beneficial to everyone involved. The fourth technique for fine-tuning your mindset and another way to develop self-confidence is to continuously feed your mind with books, magazines, and audio tapes loaded with positive and uplifting messages. This is the process of creating clear mental images of the person you want to be and the things you want to do. Your subconscious mind cannot distinguish between a real experience and one that you vividly imagine. And what determines the impact of a visualization is the amount of emotion you mix with an image as you hold it in your conscious mind for your subconscious to receive. The more emotion you visualize, the faster the image will emerge in your reality. An application of visualization is a high-performance technique called mental rehearsal. One of the best methods I've seen for programming your mind and developing your beliefs is what's called the end of the movie exercise. This is a tremendous tool for building self-confidence before any future situation, and it's very simple. Imagine you've gone to the movies and find that there are 10 minutes left before it starts again. Instead of waiting in the lobby, you decide to go into the theater and watch the last 10 minutes. You see how the plot unfolds, how the drama is resolved, and how the movie ends satisfactorily. Indeed, your current world is simply a manifestation of your deepest beliefs and convictions. You can know what you truly believe by what you do, by your conversation, and by your decisions. And when you truly believe that you are an exceptional human being with remarkable capabilities, you will walk, talk, and act accordingly. As the Bible again says, all things are possible to him who believes. There's a story about a man whose business was in serious trouble. He had lost some big sales, was deeply in debt, and his suppliers and creditors were closing in on him. Despite it being a good business with a bright future, the older man listened attentively and then said, "I think I can help you." He pulled out a checkbook from his pocket, asked the man his name, and handed him a check. He put it in the man's hand and said, "Take this money. I'll see you here exactly a year from now, and you can repay me the money then." Then the older man turned and disappeared into the darkness. When the businessman returned to his office, he opened the check and found it was for $500,000. Self-confidence, though, is actually a state of mind rooted in your belief systems. Belief or faith allows you to act boldly in the face of uncertainty. Confidence, the law of belief, which is another form of the law of cause and effect, states that your beliefs become your realities. You don't believe what you see, but rather you see what you believe. William James of Harvard said that belief creates the actual fact. The Bible says, according to your faith, it shall be done unto you. If you believe strongly and confidently, your outer world tends to adjust to a pattern consistent with these beliefs. Within a few months, his business was back on top, debt-free, and making money. A year later, he returned to the Park Bridge with the still uncashed check in hand. He couldn't wait to tell the older man what had happened. Right on schedule, the older man emerged from the darkness once again just as the businessman was about to return his check and tell him his thrilling story of success and accomplishments over the past 12 months. However, a nurse came running out of the darkness toward the elderly man and grabbed his arm. Suddenly, he realized he had made his business successful based on his beliefs. Though the information his beliefs were based on was false, it was his self-confidence in action that was responsible for the change in his affairs. Your job is to achieve the same level of confidence and belief that that businessman possessed. The world will largely accept you according to your own estimation. It's yourself you have to convince before you can convince others. But once you are absolutely convinced you have what it takes to master any situation, you will act in a way that makes your beliefs come true. I invite you to accompany me as we explore the fundamentals of shaping your thinking. Discovering how your thoughts influence your reality and how you can plan a road toward success in every facet of your life by fostering positivity, resilience, and a growth mindset are two topics that we will discuss together. Aristotle once wrote that the common goal of humanity is to be happy, however we define happiness. One thing we know is that the more confident and better we feel about ourselves, the happier and more effective we will be in everything we do. The signature read John D. Rockefeller. He had received a check for $500,000 from the richest man in the world at that time. Initially, he thought he would cash the check and solve all his financial problems, but then he decided instead to keep the check in his safe. Knowing he could cash it any time gave him the confidence to deal more confidently with his suppliers and creditors and turn his business around. So, with renewed enthusiasm, he dove back into his business, closed deals, negotiated agreements, extended payment terms, and closed several important sales. You have realized that you have the potential to create the life that you want by taking charge of your thoughts, beliefs, and attitudes. This realization came to you today. Your mentality is the most important factor in determining the outcomes you encounter, whether it be dealing with challenges, accomplishing objectives, or building meaningful connections. I strongly suggest that you put everything you've learned today into practice. The practice of positive thinking, the adoption of an attitude of abundance, and the cultivation of resilience in the face of adversities are all things that should be embraced. Maintaining a bias towards action, a fast pace is essential for success. The faster you move, the better you will feel. And the faster you move, the greater your self-esteem and self-confidence will be. The world can truly be divided into two categories, those who talk and those who do. The world is full of talkers who seem to believe that if they talk about it enough, it's the same as actually doing it. But you are a doer, and it's always the doers who move the world. Throughout all of human history, it's the men and women who think, plan, and then act consistently and persistently who make things happen. As you do so, you will experience a subtle shift in your mindset and begin to attract other winners into your life. At the same time, you will activate the law of repulsion, and negative people will start to move away from you. In a short time, your human environment will begin to change for the better. And indeed, if all these ideas seem like a lot of trouble, remember the principle of reality. Remember that both actions and inactions have consequences. Like the law of sowing and reaping, what you sow or fail to sow will determine what you reap in the end. Finally, remember the law of reversibility. If you act consistently with high performance and high self-confidence, those same actions will generate feelings consistent with them. Every positive and constructive action you take toward your dreams and goals will reinforce your belief in yourself and your ability to achieve your ideals. Keep your vision clearly before you and take continuous positive actions every hour and every day. Develop a sense of urgency. Move quickly when opportunity presents itself. Make sure you don't forget that the ability to shape your world lies within you. You should welcome it, attend to it, and then see how your thoughts transform into the bright reality that you have envisioned. And when you think positively and engage in continuous action, not only will you feel fantastic about yourself, but your ability to do whatever you want will grow by leaps and bounds. You close. I would like to take this opportunity to invite you to contemplate the deep realizations that we have reached together as we come to the end of our investigation into the transformational potential of sculpting your mind. Your mind is not merely a bystander and observer of the happenings in your life. Rather, it is a powerful force that molds the contours of your personal reality. Visit stores with the highest quality clothing and try on the clothes you eventually want to have. Flood your mind with images and sensations of the reality you want to experience. If you want to live in a nicer house, open houses in the neighborhood where you want to live, walk through the houses and imagine living there. Don't worry for the moment whether it is possible or not, or whether the price is high. Your main job is to get the picture. Get magazines full of photographs of beautiful homes and read them from cover to cover. Then wait a few minutes, and when the movie starts again, watch it from the beginning. However, now you know everything is fine. Deep down, you already know how every part of the movie ultimately resolves itself satisfactorily. Instead of getting caught up in drama, uncertainty, and danger, you simply relax peacefully knowing how everything turns out. You can apply this same technique to almost anything you do. You can manufacture your own level of self-confidence by imagining that no matter what your situation, everything turns out perfectly in the end. In mental rehearsal, you mentally review an upcoming event detail by detail and see it happening perfectly with you and ultimately as a total success. Prior to any significant event, remember, if you review a previous experience of excellent performance, take a few minutes to replay in your mind an image of the last time you did this particularly successfully. For example, if you have a sales call to make, take a few moments before the call, close your eyes and visualize the sales call perfectly. Relaxed, positive, calm, and in complete control. But you can reduce the fear of failure in any situation by repeating, I can do it, I can do it, I can do it. The most powerful affirmation for building self-esteem is probably the words, I like myself. These simple words, repeated frequently with energy and enthusiasm, are finally accepted by your subconscious mind. As your subconscious mind accepts this message of self-liking, your self-esteem increases and your performance capability and effectiveness levels improve in every area of your life. And because of the law of substitution, if you analyze each difficult situation for the lesson you can learn or the potential opportunity it might contain, your mind tends to stay positive and continues to perform at its best. Whenever you think of a person or event, speak positively to yourself. The most powerful of all affirmations for developing self-confidence, for example, is to repeat 50 or 100 times a day the words, I can do it, I can do it, I can do it. These simple words are the verbal antidote to the fear of failure, which, as you know, is the great destroyer of self-confidence and probably the main reason for failure in adult life. If you want to do better work, simply say, I love my job. In their best-selling book, Success Through a Positive Mental Attitude, Clement Stone and Napoleon Hill recommend repeating the words several times a day. I feel happy. I feel healthy. I feel terrific. One of my favorite affirmations when I'm concerned about something is to cancel worry by saying, I believe in the perfect outcome of every situation in my life. You'll find it impossible to worry about anything while repeating such positive messages. Your potential is limitless using affirmations. Through repeated affirmations, you can install powerful positive commands that will eventually determine your thoughts, feelings, and automatic responses. For affirmations to work, they must be crafted using the 3 Ps. They must be in the present tense. They must be positive, and they must be personal. Affirmations like, I can do it, I like myself, I feel great, are all positive, present tense, and personal. The subconscious mind is very literal and can only accept commands written in the present tense. What matters is not what happens to you, but how you react to what happens to you. It's not the cards you're dealt, but how you play the cards that also determines what you do in the game of life. Your job is to consciously decide to use your willpower to keep your mind clear and to stay positive and perform at your best. The starting point to take full control over your conscious and subconscious mind is to accept complete responsibility for everything you think, say, and do. You are responsible for anything that happens to you, and especially for your responses to life's inevitable ups and downs. Practice the wonderful mental quality of serendipity. In the fairy tale, the 3 princes of Serendip traveled and discovered that every seemingly negative or calamitous event turned out to be positive and beneficial in the end. So make it a fun game to look for the good in every person and every situation. In the famous book, Think and Grow Rich, Napoleon Hill says that one of the characteristics of the most successful men and women in the United States is that they always look for opportunity or benefit within every setback or obstacle. Crimes of omission are often more serious for their long-term prospects than errors. In reality, making you omit reflection on your values, setting clear goals, making plans, committing to excellence, etc., can be disastrous for your chances of achieving great achievements. Your goal is to be happy, confident, and optimistic. And the way to achieve this is to make your responses so automatic that you feel predominantly happy, confident, and optimistic no matter what happens. And you can achieve this result by taking practical, proven, and specific steps that have been used by millions of people and work with virtually infallible certainty. Start by accepting full responsibility for every aspect of your life. Demonstrate this attitude of responsibility by exercising your freedom to choose the thoughts you want to have in your conscious mind. Psychologists refer to this as the method of cognitive control. Cognitive control simply means that you control your thoughts by keeping positive ones and repeatedly telling yourself positive messages until they become automatic responses to daily life. The first technique of mental conditioning is positive self-talk, or the use of positive affirmations. You cannot think about your goal and be upset and angry at the same time. By using the law of substitution, you take total control over your suggestive environment and the information that reaches your subconscious mind. Here's an affirmation that has been very helpful to me. I repeat it over and over again until it becomes automatic in almost every situation. When something goes wrong, I immediately catch myself saying that every situation is positive if seen as an opportunity for growth and self-mastery. The way you talk to yourself has an excessive impact on your thinking and feeling. Many researchers, including Dr. Martin Seligman from the University of Pennsylvania, have found that high achievers talk to themselves differently than low achievers. Basically, your internal dialogue or self-talk determines the tone of your emotional life. Are you happy or sad, positive or negative? It depends on what you tell yourself and how you interpret events as you go along. For example, if you are cut off in traffic and immediately get angry and start thinking about how stupid, irresponsible, and bad a driver the other person is, you will have a very different reaction than if you are cut off in traffic. Apologize to the other person, thinking they must be running late, distracted, or just haven't seen you. This is a simple mind game that allows me to stay relaxed and perform at my best, and it will work for you too. Try it. The third form of suggestion is autosuggestion. Autosuggestion occurs when you have repeated messages to your subconscious mind so often that they acquire their own power. They work automatically, continuously. We have found that happy and optimistic people are programmed to respond happily and optimistically to almost every situation, and you can do the same. All life is linked and determined by your responses. For some reason, the subconscious mind ignores negative commands and focuses solely on the positive message. You can create affirmations for each of your goals, and by continually repeating them, you embed them deeply into your subconscious mind until you find yourself automatically motivated in the direction of achieving them. The second mental programming technique you can use to maintain a positive mind and achieve your goals faster is to write your goals in the form of affirmations on 3x5 cards. Write them in large black letters and then read and reread the card several times a day, reciting the affirmation to yourself each time. This and any other method or technique you use to convince yourself that your goal is achievable will help you develop your self-esteem and self-confidence. In turn, this attitude or belief will prompt you to take specific actions that will eventually make your goals a reality. The third technique for developing self-confidence is the use of positive visualization. It's exactly the same external event, but your self-talk will determine whether you experience positive or negative emotions about the situation. So the starting point when using positive self-talk is to interpret everything that happens to you favorably. Become what Klam Stone called a reverse paranoid. Imagine the entire world is in a giant conspiracy to help you succeed and be happy. Just as a paranoid person is convinced there is a conspiracy against them, a reverse paranoid is convinced there is a conspiracy in their favor. As it said, no one can make you feel inferior without your consent. Accepting responsibility is not an open option for the individual. It is mandatory. It is an absolute fact of human existence. If there is any effect in your life that you are not satisfied with, it is solely up to you to change the causes. You are entirely responsible. This is often referred to as the principle of reality. A fully mature adult accepts reality as it is, not as they wish it to be. They accept that their actions have consequences. Inaction also has consequences.